Okay, it is not recording. Just a minute. I think it is. Okay, girls, quiet. Thank you. Let's go to, don't all shout out one thing, but some of you got your 100%, just but you were honest with me just now, and you just kept on going, not really knowing what you were doing, but we got to know what we're doing because we have a quiz and eventually a test coming up. I think our test isn't until February, but have I told you yet the date? No. Let me do that now. I think you'll start seeing it in assignments because I like to give you a heads up.
Thank you.
But let me see. But quiz next class.
On just the lines in the.
On what I tell you, it's on in just a minute. Okay. But on what we've done for a couple of days. But we'll clean it up today. Test is on our calendar for February 6th, which may sound really far off, but it'll get here before we know it. Okay. So, raise your hand if there's a category you'd like for me to pick and go over, Susan.
The first one.
All right, so this will be on your quiz, so let's talk about this. Put the following equation of a line into slope-intercept form, simplifying all fractions. All right, so help me remember this. Our slides are thanks to Evelyn, and I'm out of pictures now, so send me, send me something fun. Okay, fun and appropriate. 4x minus 12y equals negative 84. All right, 4x minus 12y equals negative 84. And what we're doing on Delta Math is we're getting it into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, which, yes, you do have to have it memorized. By the way, if you want to kind of have your sheets handy, you might want to refer to this sheet. In fact, let's pause and everybody find the December 16th sheet that I think you also wrote January something else on it at the top. We're going to, there's part of this sheet I haven't completely filled out that a lot of you would like to use as a study guide, so just have this handy. But don't call me over during an assessment ever and say what's slope-intercept form, what's point-slope form, or anything like that, okay? Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to solve this for y. In the last class, we talked about different ways that you could do it, and so I'm okay with what you do. Again, Gabby mentioned at first of how she would approach this, and why she would probably solve with y on the right-hand side. It does not matter to your algebra teacher which side it is on, as long as you get y equals mx plus b. If you had mx plus b equals y, like for instance, if you get 4x plus 3 equals y, isn't that the same as y equals 4x plus 3? But today I'm going to be super consistent and do it in the same way every time. Okay, Bailey?
You said that the test was on February 3rd.
6.
Oh.
I did say 3 at first, but then I looked at my calendar, and apparently it's on the 6th. I don't even know if we meet on February 3rd, but I'll double check all that, but it's in February. Okay, girls, you want to get y by itself. I did all sorts of stuff with markers the other day and binder clips and everything, but you want to slowly or fast, whichever one meets your skill level right now, you want to move things away from y. And we start from the outside and go in. So the first thing I'm going to move is this 4x. So to move the whole thing, I'm going to subtract 4x, which you could write down or not. I don't care. But I'm going to be doing it consistent today. Okay? So I have negative 12y. By the way, not everybody has the same equation. Some of you, if you work a little faster than me or a lot faster than some people in the class, you might want to see what you get and glance up here and see if you're getting the same thing. All right, where do I want the negative 4x? Do I want it to say negative 18 minus 4x or minus 4x minus 18? Jillian?
You want to put the negative 4x next to the equal.
You want this next to the equal sign because Jillian is following a pattern. Y equals the mx and then the number, which is what b stands for. All right, now the next thing I would move is the negative 12. That means negative 12y literally means negative 12 times y. So to get rid of that, I've got to divide everything by negative 12. So I get y is equal to a negative over a negative is a positive, and 4 goes into 12 3 times. So I get x over 3, and a negative over a negative is a positive. And what goes into 18 and 12? How can we reduce 18 over 12? Susan? What goes in 18 and 12?
12.
No, not quite. Rebecca?
6.
6 is the biggest thing I can think of. 6 goes into 18 3 times, and 6 goes into 12 2 times. All right, let's pause for a minute before I type it in and check it, and then I'll take questions or comments. Girls, look at this. Raise your hand if you could tell me the slope of this line. Bailey?
4 over 1.
Of this line?
Oh, sorry. 1 over 3.
There. Thank you. Very, very, very good. Bailey realizes there's a 1 understood to be in front of that x. Excellent. And the y-intercept is 3/2, which is 1.5. All right, I'm going to type it in, and then I'll take questions or comments. So I think Susan and Yana, maybe some of you others had a comment. Y equals 1/3 x plus 3/2, I think, is what I had on the other slide. Then you could submit your answer and check it. Oh, whoa, hang on. What did I do wrong? Is that what I had on the other page?
No, you had negative 18.
No, it's over here. I'd reduced it.
You wrote negative 18, not negative 84.
Oh, I wrote 18 instead of 84. Okay, so sorry. We're going to do this problem over. Okay, which may be what some people had their hands up for. Okay, so it was 4x minus 12y equals negative 84. All right, same process, so I'm going to subtract the 4x, and I'm going to squeeze it right in there in front of the negative 84. So I have negative 12y equals negative 4x minus 84. Then I'm going to divide by negative 12. And that gives me y is equal to a negative over a negative is a positive. 4 goes into 4 1 time. 4 goes into 12 3 times. A negative over a negative is a positive. And I think that goes in evenly. 84 divided by 12. 6. 12 times 6. Oh, no, 7. You're right. So this would be positive 7. All right, so now let's give it a try. So I have 1/3 x plus 7. Sorry, I copied it down wrong. Okay, let's go to the next problem, but I'll pause and take questions. Yana?
So if you always have a slope where you end up with like x over 3 or x over something, it can also always be written as 1 over
Yes, if you have y is equal to 3/5 x, for instance, you could also think of that as y as 3x over 5. That x is really stuck to the top there. But if you have y is equal to x over 5, you could call that 1/5 x.
So, and then x can never just be in the denominator, right?
No, you wouldn't even have a line.
Yeah.
It would make a crazy weirdo graph that you're not going to be ready for until next year. If x is on the bottom, I'd have to count off, in fact. Don't let it gravitate toward the bottom. You get a really weird graph, which I'll probably show you in Desmos later. Susan?
So, like, when we're doing this type of equation, like, do we kind of read it like a book from left to right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can.
And we always, like, divide it? Oh, we do the opposite, right?
Yes. See, this was really added or subtracted. So to get rid of the entire 4x, I need to subtract 4x. Because do you see it said minus 12y? So let's do the next one, okay? I don't know what's on the next slide. There they are. All right. What is this from?
Little Woman.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's really, really good. I hear it's really good. I didn't even know he was in Little Women. What's his name again? Y'all are all saying it at the same time. Let Evelyn say it. And he spells his name Timothy really weird, like with E's. Okay. 2x plus 2y equals 4. Okay, shh, girls. All right, first thing I'm going to do is move the 2x. So it gives me 2y equals negative 2x, and scoot your 4 on the outside. You want to squeeze this in right there because you're following a pattern. And now, Susan, do you see it's 2y?
Yeah,
So to get rid of that 2, I'm going to divide. So I get y is equal to, this is negative 1x plus 2. Now back to what Yana was asking me and that Bailey answered on the last one.
If you have 2y, wouldn't that, when you divide it, wouldn't that turn into a negative, so wouldn't that become positive?
2 over 2?
No, if you have a 2y.
2y, I had this. 2y, girls, equals negative 2x plus 4. All right, Maria?
Yeah.
So then I divided by 2. 2 over 2 is 1.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, if you're dividing it, don't you always...
This is negative x plus 2. So keep talking. What now?
So if you, I thought when you change the number from one side to the other, the sign changes.
When you're adding and subtracting, not when you're dividing or multiplying. Okay? So look at this. Let's go back to things without so many letters in it, and you'll see. If I have 3x plus 4 equals 7, okay? To get rid of that plus 4, I'm going to subtract 4. So what you're seeing that we did the other day, that moves over here. Okay? Either way I look at it, I'm going to get 3 on that side. So now I have 3x equals 3. And now what I need to do, Maria, is divide. Because now it's multiplied. So I'm going to divide by 3. And it just cancels. Okay? All right, so the only way to move that 2 is to add it to the other side. So one thing that I didn't realize all the sense behind this that I try to tell y'all is the reason I add 2 is addition and subtraction are what we call inverse functions. They get rid of each other, okay? Because what's negative 2 plus 2 is 0. It got rid of it, okay? Now, if I have multiplication and division, I definitely don't want 0, okay? There's all these words that probably swim around in your head that meant about as much to you as it did to me when I was in upper mid. When you're adding and subtracting, what's called your identity element is 0. What happens when you're multiplying and dividing? Does anybody know what the identity element is? Okay, look at this. This will help a lot. What's 5 plus 0? 5. What's negative 7 plus 0?
7.
How do you do that with multiplication? I don't want to multiply by 0, do I? I want to multiply by 1. What's 5 times 1? 5. So our drive, our concern in not changing the problem is based on what I just wrote here. So Maria, those are great questions. If I have 7x equals 10, to solve for x, it's multiplied, so I divide. When you divide by 7 over 7, they cancel out and you get 1. So let's review. 5 plus something. How will I cancel that out? How will I cancel out a positive 5? I need to add a what? Negative 5. And what does that give you? 0. If I have 5 times something to give me 5, sorry, I'm not saying that very well. Let's just do another problem. Okay, before we even start, would y'all agree the answer to this is 4? What's 3 times 4?
12,
Minus 2?
10.
So it's definitely I should get 4 when I finish. To get rid of a 3x minus 2, doesn't minus mean subtraction? How do you get rid of subtraction? With addition. So I add 2. That's gone because that makes 0. So on this side I have 3x equals 12. Now what does 3x mean? Doesn't that mean 3 times x? Now it's multiplied, so how do you get rid of multiplication? Division. So, and just divide by the number that you have. You don't want to divide. The only reason you're doing a negative to a positive is when you're adding, because that cancels it out. What cancels multiplication and division? Just that number. Does that make sense? That gives me 1x, which is what I want, equals 4, which we already knew the answer was. So Maria, just kind of stay with me here and let me know, and I can keep saying it different ways. That's a fantastic question. Really, really thoughtful, and you got to get all of that straight, and it can be so confusing. Not you, but you, everybody. Any other questions before I go on? All right, let's type it in. I could type it in as y equals negative 1x plus 2, or I could just type it in as y equals negative x plus 2. It doesn't matter. What just happened to my Chrome? All right, so I have y equals negative x plus 2. All right, let's do this one. 4x plus 3y equals negative 3. All right, so Susan, here's another one. So we have 4x plus 3y equals, did I say negative 3?
3y.
Let's look at it again. Okay. All right, what do I move first? The 4x, because it's on the very outside. Get it out of the way. Clear some space, okay? So I'm going to subtract 4x minus 4x. So it gives me 3y equals negative 4x, and scoot the 3 like backwards so you can squeeze that in. And now you've got to get y by itself. It's multiplied by 3, so I'll divide by 3. Take your time on these to get really good at it. This cancels. Y equals negative 4/3 x. And what's 3 over 3? 1, so I have minus 1. Y-intercept and slope. Okay? Susan?
How come we keep negative 4/3? Like, how come we don't just, like, make it, like, simplify it?
Good question. If it's 4 over 2, Susan, I would call it 2. Okay? But 4/3 is 1.6 like this.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I need it for this purpose. Here, girls, my y-intercept is negative 1. And how I'm going to get my next point, I'm going to count down 4 and over 3. Susan, if we have a decimal, I don't have a rise over run. I like going down 4 and over 3.
But then,
So fractions are really good right now for us for slope. There'll come a day where I use decimals for slope. Probably not in here. Okay?
okay, I have another question.
So reduce, but that's reduced as far as I can reduce it. Don't go to decimals.
Yeah.
Okay?
How come, like, we're keeping it 3/3?
I didn't. What's 3 over 3?
Oh, 3. Just like,
3 divided by 3?
1.
That's my answer. I didn't keep it. This is my answer.
I understand that.
So I had negative 4/3. This canceled, so I had y. This is negative 4/3 x, and that's 1. So here's what you're asking me. Suppose you get one like 6x minus 2y equals 12. Okay? All right, I'm going to subtract 6x. Make sure those cancel, and you have negative 2y. Squeeze this in, negative 6x plus 12. Then I'm going to divide by negative 2. So back to what Maria was saying, when you're adding and subtracting, you need the opposite sign. When you're dividing or multiplying, you need the same sign. It's just two completely different things. Do you see how I divided a negative 2 by a negative 2? All right, so that gives me y. So Susan, what you're asking me here is I have 6 over 2. If I had 6 over 5, I would just leave it. I don't know what 6 divided by 5 is, but 6 over 2 I can reduce to 3. So a negative over a negative is a positive, so this gives me 3x. And this one I can also reduce, so I will, and I get negative 6. So what's my y-intercept here, girls? Negative 6, Jillian, right? And what's the slope? 3, but I need a rise over run, so somebody's already said it. If I need a fraction, I would make that 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. Okay? All right, anything else on what Susan started us on? Let me go back to Delta Math. Well, it's clear we got to, oh, by the way, that's one thing that'll be on your quiz. In just a minute, we'll get some really intensive practice and something you can take home, and if you study it, you'll do fine on the quiz. Okay? Hopefully. I can't promise that, but almost promise it. Please meet with me with the sheet that I give you, and I can give you more to practice, or email me, and I'll send you some. You can email me your answers, and I'll check them, or things like that, okay? And also, in just 1 second, I'll reopen this Delta Math so you can practice whichever parts of this you want until the next test. So watch this, girls. I don't want to confuse you. I've already put up your homework for tonight. So I'm going to go to this when it lets me. What's it doing? It's not letting me do my stuff. Let's see. Weird. Let me refresh. May have logged me out. Okay. All right, every eye up here so that you're not confused. Okay? Just like worksheets in here. And this is really only, I think, the second year I've taught this. And I'm finding this year that hopefully I will, as the year goes on, just really develop a packet that I almost hand to them by the unit or something, to where you have it all in one place instead of me giving it to you one at a time. But until that happens, I'm going to keep this homework for January 13th called that so that you can go back and remember when I assigned it. We'll keep all of the dates going. But what I'm saying is I'm going to go now, since it's already due and I've already graded it. I'm going to change the due date until our test date. And so say that you have extra time and skills and you think, oh, I need to go back and practice that first assignment she gave me in Delta Math. So now it's going to be open until February 6th, and you can practice it whenever you want to. And I'll keep doing that with the Delta Math assignments. So let me show you what I mean. All right, so here's going to be your view. We've done this before. It's not completely new. All right, here's Algebra 2. All right, so the next thing you actually see is the assignment for Wednesday. Do you see that assignment 2 on lines? But then down here, this one will just be open. In fact, I need to open this one too, homework 1 on lines. So I need to relabel these. This is really assignment 3. I didn't realize I'd done homework 1. Let me go back. While we're talking about it, I'm going to fix it. Okay. Quit asking me that.
Can we do the last one?
Yes. Let me change this real quick. This will be assignment 3 on lines. And it's due Wednesday, January 15th. So that hopefully that's very clear.
It says J. Is that for the? Wait.
Oh,
It's yeah. It says J. No, she wrote J.
all right. And now I'm going to open up this. Homework 1 on lines. Okay, so are y'all okay when you look at the page? The way I have it going is your next assignment will be first, and things that we've already done that you might want to practice at any moment are down here. And they're open until the next test. And we have a spring exam coming up in March, so eventually I'll probably open them up till even later if they're good to practice for the exam. Let's don't talk about the exam right now. Yana?
So, okay, so when the assignments are open, will we still see them as, like we completed them 5 out of 5, or will they go back to 0?
I don't know, but that's why I said I've already got it recorded, so it doesn't matter. Now you can just practice them at will. I think it's going to say 5 out of 5.
Okay, and what specifically will be on our quiz for when?
I'm going to tell you in just a minute. I'm still going over homework questions. Okay, somebody wanted something else. Ella?
Me and Marva wanted the parallel and perpendicular equation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that one I'm going to skip, and because, I'm on your view. I want to be on my view. We're going to talk about, that line was what's called a vertical line. You had to wait and run into, hang on just a minute. Maybe I should go ahead and do that because that's part of what we were going to do today.
I didn't know. That was the one I guess.
Let me just go back. I'll just work whatever I encountered. All right, so parallel and perpendicular. All right, so here we are at this one again. You're going to get a handout on this in just a minute, okay? Girls, y'all see what Susan had us started out talking with today with like AX plus BY equals C. Up until this moment with me, probably maybe not with your other teachers in middle school, but with me, we've always had slanted lines called diagonal lines. We haven't talked any, and we're going to today, about what if they're like completely horizontal or completely vertical. If that happens, girls, think about the common sense. You know, like with Maria's question and many of your questions, I try to get you to see the common sense and so you're not just memorizing, then I'll give you a way to memorize it. But my point is if you understand it, you don't have to memorize anything, okay? So let's play this game, okay? Suppose that I said, and you don't have to do this. I'm just going to pick on Rebecca, okay? Suppose I said, Rebecca, stand up. Okay? You don't have to. The rest of you, I didn't tell you at all what to do. So you could do whatever the heck you wanted to, right? It looks like something's going on with Rebecca and I need her to stand up for some reason. Maybe I think there's a spider under her chair. There's not. You know, or something. But I might look at Rebecca and go, Rebecca, stand up. That doesn't mean you all have to stand up. Okay, let's do this for me, please. Close your computers. I know you might be working on an assignment this too, but at least it's not due before school's out, I hope. So that those of you who have your computer up, and I know some of you are listening to me anyway. If I say, Rebecca, stand up, I've only told her what to do. If I say X is 0, I could care less what Y is. If I have something like 3X plus 4Y equals 7, do you see I care what X and Y are doing? I'm giving instructions to X and Y. So Jillian could put her head on her desk. You know, Gabby could open her computer. Yana could go get some water. You know, Evelyn could scribble on her notebook. I don't care if I say, Rebecca, stand up. The rest of you might go, do you want us to? So, when you see X equals 0, you might go, well, what's Y supposed to do? I don't care. Doesn't matter to me, so let's see what could happen here. Okay? If X is 0, I don't care what Y is doing. If X is 0, I don't care what Y is doing. If X is 0, I don't care what Y is doing. I just said I don't care what Y does, but I sure want X to be what? Do you see how that's an extremely pointed command? That means that you could have 011. Could you have 985 if you wanted to?
Yep.
According to this command, I didn't even tell Y what to do. Let's graph these, girls. 0, 1. 0, -7. 0, 9. Hey, girls, what's going to happen to every single point if X is 0?
Yes.
Isn't this going to happen?
Yes.
Hey, girls, it's super easy. It goes through the x-axis at 0. So now this is super easy. What happens if I say X is 3? This will move over to 1, 2, 3. It's a vertical line. Okay, we'll talk about its slope in a little while. But common sense is if I want a line that is parallel to x equals 0, then parallel would have to be another what? Is x equal 3 parallel to x equals 0? Couldn't it be any of these? Hey girls, guess what happens if I say y equals 3? It's this way. It's now I don't care what x is. Okay? All right, so parallel. Which one of these is going to be parallel to x equals 0 would be another x equals. It would have to be x equals 4. Okay, I'll click it and then we'll talk about it. This one, do you see how x and y are both told what to do? That's going to be diagonal. That won't be straight up and down. Do you see how these two are going to be diagonal? Okay, that one's going to be horizontal. Here's the y-axis. It cuts through the y-axis at -7. All right, watch my arm. Okay, here's, don't we count to y's up and down this way? Okay, so if I go y is -7, that means that I could go out here and go down 7. I could go out here and go down 7. I can go anywhere I want to on the x-axis as long as all my y's are 7. That's why that happens. Okay? So, so these all of a sudden become extremely easy. If it's parallel to x equals, it's got to be another x equals. If it's parallel to y equals, it's got to be another y equals. Okay? All right, but let's do another one. Because that was kind of a extreme example. Didn't I just do, oh, well, x equal -1. We can do this all day. Is this going to happen all day?
Is that just what it?
No.
Oh, good. Okay. I want it perpendicular. So let's write this one down. 5x minus 4y equals -15. You'll have more homework on this tonight. 5x minus 4y equals -15. We did this the other day with the little sign, the perpendicular. And what does that say to you? That's kind of like a cute little language. That means perpendicular what? What's M? Slopes. All right, if I have a slope that's 2/3, what's the perpendicular slope is -3/2. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have everything opposite about it. You've got to flip it and change the sign. Okay? So what do I need to find out about this line right here before I go further? If I'm looking for perpendicular, I've got to know that line's slope. So what form do I want to get it in? Slope-intercept. Very good. Okay? Which is what we just did. So Ella, we're going to subtract 5x. That gives me -4y. Squeeze this in, -5x minus 15. Divide by -4. So I have y is equal to, what's a negative over a negative?
Positive.
5/4 x. A negative over a negative is a positive. And this is like Susan asked me, 15/4, I can't reduce. I'm just going to leave it. Okay? What, Ella, what's the slope of this line?
5/4.
5/4. If Ella and I are looking for parallel, we need another 5/4. But we're looking for perpendicular. So remember 5/4. Which one of these would be perpendicular? -4/5, right? You have to flip it and change the sign. Complete opposite reciprocal. What did I do wrong?
I think you wrote it wrong.
Again?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. That we.
Oh, yeah, because 5x and 4y instead of 5y.
Oh, I didn't read it very well.
Change the y.
Yeah. So let's get it right.
So we did, yeah.
Ed had said 5y minus 4x. Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Sorry, girls, read them carefully. Okay? That's how you would work it. However, I worked the wrong problem. What do you want to get by itself? Y. Thanks. Great. Okay, so to get y by itself, we're going to add 4x. So I have 5y Squeeze this in, 4x minus 15. It was a positive 4x. Rebecca?
So for the perpendicular line, you keep the y intercept at the same.
It doesn't matter.
Oh.
I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, so if I had worked this problem right, the slope would have been 4/5. And so we would have had to pick the one that says negative 5/4, which is what they did. See negative 5/4? And the 4/5. The slope is 4/5 if I'd done it right. Well, I did it right. I was working on the wrong equation. Okay, let's do one more of those since I kind of messed that up, and then we'll move on. So let's go to the next problem. Okay, so let's see if I can do this one right, or copy it down now. 5x plus 6y equals negative 42. All right, so we have 5x plus 6y equals negative 42. Subtract 5x, 6y, squeeze this in, negative 5x minus 42. Divide by 6. When you're dividing, use the same sign. And I get negative 5 over 6x minus 7. The slope is negative 5 over 6. The perpendicular slope, change it to positive and flip it over. It's complete opposite in every way. Okay? Opposite reciprocal is what that is. All right, so I'm looking for something that has 6/5 in it. Oh, and by the way, I didn't read it first before I started. I could have almost messed it up again. If it's in parallel, you're looking for one with the same slope. So make sure you're reading the word. It says perpendicular. So Ella had us find the slope. Let's remind ourselves what it is. Our slope right now is negative 5 over 6, so we're looking for something 6 over 5. And it should be this one. Now I'm kind of worried. Now, hang on just a minute. What someone noticed is the y-intercept doesn't even matter. Okay, is that what you're going to ask?
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this. All right, here is a line. This line is parallel to it. And parallel, the y-intercept does matter, doesn't it? You don't want the same slope and the same y-intercept on parallel. You need a different y-intercept, but you need the same slope. Okay? Now, here's one that's perpendicular. Supposedly, if I'd drawn that at a 90-degree angle. Does it matter if they have the same y-intercept? Do you see it's still perpendicular?
Yeah.
So with the perpendicular line, the y-intercept doesn't matter. Okay? All right, let's move on for now, and so that we can get done what I want to today. So let's get ready for the quiz first. So let me give out these sheets. And this is something you want to keep, and we'll put it, I don't have a date on it, so we'll put a date on it. One of these sheets actually has a wrong date on it because I didn't get to it the other day. All right, so I'm just going to give it to you individually to make sure that I do it right. So when you receive this, put January 13 on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You should get something with boxes 1 through 6. Put January 13th on it. January 13th. You can say, tell me how to jump up or punch holes in it, whatever works for you. I think there's a whole bunch up there.
Can I
January 13th.
Does anybody need a hole puncher? Hole puncher?
That was a stapler.
Two different things, sweetie.
I thought you were putting a stapler.
There always, I don't know why, but there always is. Feel the stench yet? Actually? Okay, fine, I'll stop.
Yeah, thank you.
like seriously grossing you out? Okay, fine, I'll stop.
You're like smiling to yourself.
Oh my god, you know what that looks like?
All right, girls, we need to get started, so let's go. All right, this is a great sheet. Please keep up with it until the test or the exam. Okay. All right, number 1. Oh, I don't have that computer. All right, so on number 1, you have this picture. You have a picture that looks sort of like this. Did y'all all see that picture? On number 1. All right, let's go to the box next to it where at the top it says slope-intercept form. Okay? So raise your hand if you can tell me the y-intercept of this graph. All right, Grazia?
It's 4.
All right, does everybody see Grazia sees the slope of this line is 4? I'm sorry, the y-intercept is 4. All right, so Grazia and I are going to go y equals mx plus b. Now I need the slope. I'm going to put it right here, okay? Cannot everybody count the slope? Go from one corner to another corner. Up 1, over 1. So you could either put 1 or just call it x. I don't care. So that's box number 1.
So that's slope-intercept form?
That's slope-intercept form. If you girls, look above that. Do y'all see how great this sheet is? It backs up. This sheet and this sheet are fantastic to go together because this big old writing here. But does everybody see at the top of this sheet? It reminds you what they are.
Yeah.
Do y'all see that? At the very top. Okay. All right, the next one is point slope form. For point slope, that is common sense. You need a point and the slope. All right, so let's go. Y minus y equals m times x minus x because most of you have already decided the slope is 1. So I filled that in. It doesn't matter what point you pick. I'll just have to grade whatever Eliza picks or Margot picks or Daniela picks, okay? You can pick any point that you see on this line. Does anybody want to give me a point from the line? Daniela?
5, I don't know, 1 and 5.
1 and 5. All right, Daniela's using the point 1, 5. Which one does she need to write right here?
5.
5, and over here she needs to write the 1. But a few other hands were up. You could put whatever point you want to in there. Just find a point and throw it in with the slope. How can you check your work? Grazia?
Well, I guess when you because the point slope form, it'll always.
It should change back into the
Yeah.
first one. Okay, is that what you're going to say?
Yeah.
So you don't have to write this down, but watch. Suppose you finished your quiz or your test or your homework and you had some time to check it. What Grazia realizes is I have y minus 5 equals x minus 1. If Grazia adds 5, she gets y equals x plus 4. No matter what point, Daniela, or you chose, that should happen. That's not really part of that box, though, but you can check that box. So here's the answer to the first box. Here's an answer to the second box. What's interesting as a teacher, the second box, I'll have to check whatever you pick for your point. Everybody's slope should be the same, but you could pick 15 different points and still get it right. Bailey?
So for the equations, should we memorize them?
Yes, you'll have to know those. Okay. And hopefully, I think we're good with that, really. Girls, without looking, tell me what slope-intercept form is. Y equals plus b. Point slope minus y equals m times x. It means you need a slope and a point. Y minus y equals m times x minus x. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Okay? But yeah, I won't tell you on quiz day what those are. But they're on both sheets that you've gotten. Yana?
So for the point slope form, the point that you pick, it doesn't have to be on the lines.
It has to be on the line. I'm sorry, thank you for clarifying. Hey, girls, you can't pick whatever point you want to. I said that, that's not what I meant. You have to pick a point on the line. So, Yana, can you give me another one that would have been okay?
Okay, you could do, well, I guess you could do, negative 4, comma 2.
Negative 4, 0 is what I see on there.
Oh, yeah.
I could use 3, 7. Do you see 3, 7?
Yeah.
You got to pick a point on that line. That's why I've forgotten who picked. Somebody picked 1, 5 for me. All right, Sarah?
Real quick, so when you put the slope in, do you put an X next to it? Or?
You'll go, I'll write it really big here so I'm not squeezing it in little boxes. You say y minus, I'm just going to put a blank for what you're going to fill in. All right, so the form is y minus y equals m times x minus x, okay? This means put in a number for y, put in a number for x, and put in your number that you found for your slope. I don't know, and it's like in parentheses next to the x minus. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't really know what it was. Okay, now the last box, standard form, Daniela tells me is ax plus by equals c. So you're really just following a pattern. It's like you actually came into class today and instead of doing algebra, we were making bracelets and you were following my pattern. And I go green, green, blue, red, green, green, blue, red, okay? Try to make it that easy for yourself. I want you to get the x in the front of the y and the number on the other side. And then we'll worry about the rest of it later, okay? It's probably easiest to do it from this form to this form, okay? It doesn't really matter to me, but I like to usually change this one into this one because right now I already have y equals x plus 4. Where do I want that x to be? Don't I want them to be on the same side? So I'm going to subtract x over here. So I have negative x plus y equals 4. I'm almost through here. Does anybody remember the rule for the coefficient in front of x? Sarah, it has to start with a positive. So if Sarah changes this to a positive, what's going to change a positive to? You can just go through and change all the signs. It's like Sarah and I are multiplying by negative 1. Okay? So this is going to be a positive x, a negative y, a positive x, a negative y, and a negative 4. And you may still have questions, but if I keep moving, you'll get better at it. So let's keep moving. Let's go to number 2. All right? Number 2. Feel free to move ahead, but just look back up. All right, all we have now is slope-intercept form. Y equals negative 2x minus 1. You see why this sheet is so good? It makes you go back and forth. Tell you what, I can quickly jump over to standard form. If you're looking at the board, I can quickly jump over there. Some people could do this in their heads and be done with the third box. What do you want to move to get from here to standard form? Yana?
The negative 2x.
All right, so Yana's got y equals negative 2x plus 1. Some of you could jump right to this, kind of based on what Maria was saying earlier, okay? If you can jump there, please do. If you want to go slower, we're going to move the 2x. We're going to move the 2x. And over here I have a positive y and a positive 2x. You have to get it in the right order. Okay? You can do this in whatever order you want. Now I think I'll get the graph next. Okay? To do the first box, what's the y-intercept? Negative 1. So put a little dot on negative 1. And what's my slope?
Negative 2.
Over, I need a fraction, negative 2 over 1. So, good. I'm going to go to my y-intercept of negative 1. And then I'm going to go down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1. And you should have a line that looks a lot like this one on your paper. Jillian?
For the standard form,
Wait, why is it positive 1 and not negative?
Oh my goodness, I copied it wrong. Thank you, Jillian. Sorry, it's one of my huge mistake days. I have these sometimes and it just like happens all in one day, I hope. And thanks, Jillian. Hey girls, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the third box so everybody regroup. This is what we had. I wanted to move the 2x over, which leaves me, actually, do you see a negative 1? Should be left hanging over there? All right, so some of you others may have noticed it. Thanks for telling me that. All right, so these cancel, and there's a negative 1 on that side. So correct your work. In the third box, it should say 2x plus y equals negative 1.
In the first column, first box.
Right here?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, wait, it should be positive here.
2x plus y equals negative 1.
Does that mean that on the first column should it be positive 4?
Oh, so this is the one where we have to.
We're on number 2.
I know, but okay.
No. Margot, I see what you're saying. Okay, so sorry, girls. Let's go back up here, Margot.
Oh yeah.
So I'll move the x over here. So the 4 was okay. And then at the end, though, it has to start with a positive, so I changed all the signs.
Oh,
So fortunately, that one's right. Yana?
So for the graph in number 2, how many points do you
I don't care at all. 2 points determine a line. 2's enough. You can find 8. Doesn't matter. At least 2.
So is it true that the coefficient of x, whenever x starts?
It's got to be positive and it can't be a fraction.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry I interrupted you, but is that sort of what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now look at the second box. Y minus y equals m times x minus x. What's the slope on this whole problem? Who can find the slope on this problem number 2? Margot? So we're going to put that right there. And now we need is a point. Now, I said you could choose any point you want unless someone already chose for you. Didn't they already choose?
Yeah.
They're saying use the point negative 1, 1, which, by the way, I hope your graph went through. Did your graph go through that corner of negative 1, 1? All right, which one goes here? Y minus 1, x minus what?
X plus 1.
So it'll be plus 1, won't it, Daniela? X minus negative 1. And you just leave it like that. That was number 2. Let's go to number 3.
It doesn't
Alright.
go through negative
Your graph should go through this point, negative 1, 1. So I'll need to come look at it if it doesn't. It should go through the point negative 1, 1. Does yours not?
Nope.
On y intercepts negative 1. We went down to
For what? So
draw your graph.
for what?
Yeah, you guys get negative 1.
Okay, why is it called?
It does. It does. It does.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to number 3. Number 3. So go ahead and look at your graph on number 3. Number 3, you have a graph which looks like this. All right, everybody sees that picture. All right, let's do the first box, slope intercept. All right, has anybody found the slope? Did you count down and over from corner to corner, Margot? Down 1 over 2x, yes. And the y-intercept? 3. All right, Maria, did you have a question or are you just going to answer my question? Everybody follow Margot down 1 over 2? So go from corner to corner. Okay, now the second box says choose any point. All right, so I'll just let someone pick. Somebody grab a point on the line. Daniela?
One.
I wouldn't choose 1 because it doesn't really go through a corner.
Sorry. 4, 1.
4, 1. I like that one. That one's good. You could have chosen your own point on the line. So we're going to say y minus 1. What's our slope? Negative 1 half x minus 4. Y minus y equals m times x minus 4. Which one of these is easiest to get this one from? The first box or the second box? The first box. Good girls. So let's take this over here. Y equals negative 1 half x plus 3. Now be very calm. Don't panic. What do you want to move first? You want the x and y on the same side. So Daniela, what am I going to do?
The x.
I'm going to add 1 half x and put it in the front. So I'm going to have 1 half x plus the y, and what's left on the other side? Of positive 3. We're almost there. No? All right, so right now I have 1 half x plus y equals 3. You have to get rid of that fraction, so you multiply by the denominator. What's the denominator? 2. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2. I'm going to double everything. I'm going to 2, 2, and 2. 2 and 1 half cancel, so that gives me x. 2 times y, and 3 times 2 is 6. All right, let's do number 4. Number 4, and then we'll stop there because it'll be time to go. Number 4, and I'll tell you what to do. You have y minus 1 equals 1/4 times x plus 2. That's really ugly, but you have it on your paper. Y minus 1 equals 1/4 times x plus 2. All right, let's go to the graph. And how can I go to the graph? Can you tell what or I don't know. There's all sorts of different things you can do here. Let's do this first. Let's go from here to here. How will I go from second box to first box? Jillian?
Turn it into a slope and exit form.
So I'm going to say y minus 1 equals 1/4 x plus 2/4. Distribute. What's y equals mx plus b form? Sorry, what's slope-intercept form? I'm trying to get here, which is y equals mx plus b. So what do I want to move next?
So would you end up with y, I'm saying y equals 1/4 x plus 1?
Almost. We're going to have to add 1, right? All right, so I'm adding 1. So that gives me y equals 1/4 x. And what in the world is that? What's 2/4 plus 1?
Don't you have to times both sides by 4?
Not on this one, because we want y by itself.
Yes.
What is 2/4 plus 1? That's what I'm trying to do. Isn't that 1/2 plus 1? So you could call it 1.5. Or you could call it this. 1/2 plus 1. Common denominator. So you could call it 3/2. Okay, and we need to go. So let me tell you what to do for Wednesday. You might have some delta math. I've got to relook at it because we didn't get as far as I wanted to ever. But what you'll see is I'll write all of this out. I'll write my answers and take a picture of it and post it. And then I'll send you a blank copy of this so you can try it again. And your quiz will look like some of these. It'll even be in boxes. So I'll make it really clear what your homework is. when you check what? Assignments, okay? Because I hadn't decided exactly what it is, but we do know part of it's quiz, okay?